Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. ABC 10 meteorologist Brendan Minchef here. There's a bill making its way through the California legislature that would amend the state's constitution to guarantee the right for Californians to have a clean and healthy environment. The author of that bill, Assemblymember Isaac Bryan out of California's 55th district, joined me to talk about his bill. Assemblymember Isaac Bryan, 55th District, South Los Angeles. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Brendan. Good to be with you.
Thank you. So we're talking today. I wanted to speak with you about the Assembly Constitutional Amendment 16, ACA 16.
That's right.
What is that?
ACA 16 would enshrine the right to clean air, clean water, and a healthy environment in our state constitution. We're about 4 decades behind some other states who have been leading the charge on this. One of our sister states on the East Coast, New York, passed similar language just 3 years ago. In California, we like to promote ourselves as climate champions, as climate leaders, but it's strange that 40 million people in our state don't have those rights.
And Montana is maybe one of the states, surprisingly, that has had this in their constitution for a long time.
Yeah, and in Pennsylvania, going back as far as we've celebrated Earth Day.
So not unprecedented to hear of these green movements. Other states have also been advocating, New Jersey, New Mexico, even some Republican-led legislatures, West Virginia, Florida, Tennessee, Texas, have also had at times other amendments to the Constitution that they've been trying to push through, these green amendments. What makes California different here?
Well, what makes California different is we have been leading statutorily on climate change for some years. It was a 7-year fight to put in statute the right to safe and affordable drinking water, for example. But as far as we can go legislatively, it's really not a right of the people until we put it in our Constitution. And that's what ACA 16 is about. It's about making sure the people of California have all of the rights and liberties that they're entitled to and the rights that we can find in our sister states across the country.
And so what is the status of the amendment right now?
Yeah, well, the amendment moved through the Natural Resources Committee. It's headed to the Appropriations Committee, and we're having robust conversations across the state legislature. There's over 24 co-authors in both houses, so it's quite popular. There are 70 different community-based organizations. People are really counting on this to help advance our climate conversations and our climate goals moving forward.
And the LA Times editorial board just wrote a pro piece yesterday, in fact, saying basically that they would like to have it advanced out of the Sacramento legislature and put it to a vote of the people.
Yeah, what's unfortunate is I actually can't give us the rights to clean air, clean water, and a healthy environment. All I can do and all my colleagues can do is allow for the people of California to decide for themselves if these are rights they should have. And I think they should have that right and they should have that conversation, and it should be on the ballot in November.
Now, one of the things, though, there is some opposition to it, perhaps unsurprisingly. The California Chamber of Commerce is one of them that's come out in opposition, saying it would be a job killer and embolden NIMBYs, the not in my backyarders. What do you have to say about that?
I thought that was a pretty ridiculous and tone-deaf opposition, especially because I'm the vice chair of the Renters Caucus. There are only 5 renters in all of Sacramento's state legislature. There's 120 legislators, 5 renters. I'm one of the 5, the only one from Los Angeles. The idea that anything that I would be doing would not be with an eye towards future generations and those who are fighting for justice on all fronts is a bit absurd. What I think the chamber is actually letting us know is that in New York, there are a number of lawsuits that are citing the Green Amendment, and the state is the plaintiff, holding bad actors in the state accountable. And what I think they're afraid is the people of California will have a new tool to hold polluters accountable, and that new tool scares them a little bit.
But we have seen, to be fair, CEQA be abused a little bit, if you will, by the not in my backyarders to delay projects, to cite the environment as a reason why we should or should not get something done. Would this tool also, how would you ensure it's not manipulated or potentially misused?
Absolutely has no bearing on our housing production. And CEQA is definitely still the law in California, and it's a necessary environmental protection law. The fact that it's being abused is something we're actively working through the legislature. I myself have authored CEQA exemptions, have voted on numerous CEQA exemptions, including to build student housing at Berkeley and across the state. And so we're wrapping our hands around our need to build our housing stock and push back against some bad laws on the book. But that doesn't mean everything that is for providing clean air, clean water, and a healthy environment for people is somehow anti-housing. That's a false conflation, and a shame that the chamber chose to go that route instead of having an honest conversation about the rights that the people should have and what those rights would mean for holding their state accountable.
And I also want to ask, though, if CEQA is the law of the land, what are the teeth? Like, what is the incentive to get this amendment out of the legislature and then potentially voted on by the people.
The most powerful incentive that I can think of is that by enshrining this right into our state constitution, similar to what we did with Proposition 1 and reproductive care just a few years back, we're insulating ourselves from rollbacks and damage done by the federal government. If we at all have any concerns about not maintaining an environmentally friendly White House in the near future, then California has to do all that it can to insulate itself from that. We saw Pennsylvania sue the previous Trump administration for defunding and deregulating the EPA, really infringing on the people of Pennsylvania's right to clean air, water, and a healthy environment. And so that's the power that our state constitution and the Green Amendment could have as well. It's one that I think is more pressing and timely now than it perhaps ever has been.
What are some other climate initiatives that you and your colleagues are working on right now?
Yeah, I think we're having a robust conversation about how we continue to move California forward. I'm trying to tackle urban heat. We have a bill this year that would force local jurisdictions to put urban heat and heat mitigation into their hazard mitigation plans. This would allow for us to draw down federal FEMA dollars in cases of urban heat emergencies. Because we don't plan for it now, we can't ask the federal government to step into it. We've got to do our part and plan for those things. Another thing that I'm working on, though, is making sure that the frontline communities that have been paying for the brunt of neighborhood oil drilling for decades with their life expectancies are now having that conversation rebalanced. We found out that there are a number of oil drillers who are drilling right next to people's homes, hospitals, playgrounds, and schools that are extracting less than 15 barrels a day. They're extracting almost no oil, but the environmental impact is the same, whether you're extracting 15,000 barrels a day or 15 barrels a day. So for those low-producing oil wells that are still killing communities, we want to hold them accountable and make sure that they are paying their fair share for the damage that they're doing.
Assemblymember Bryan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.